Sarah Flint je britská autorka, která se v České republice ohlásila svým debutem Maminčin mazánek. Navázala úspěšnou knížkou Sběratel trofejí a nyní očekáváme knížku Lháři. To, co propojuje jejím detektivkám takovou autentičnost, je zřejmě to, že pracovala 35 let u policie. No a více nám už prozradí v dobrém rozhovoru. So you are a woman who worked for the police for 35 years?
Yes.
And now all of a sudden you are a detective thriller writer. Yet, haven't you ever had the desire to escape the brutality of the world into another genre than detective thriller?
I think they always say to write what you know.
Yeah.
And so initially I've written what I know. I loved working in the police force for 35 years, and it has just sort of followed on that I write crime thrillers. But I would love at some point to move away from that genre and try something else. So yes, that will be something for the future.
You are probably often asked about the extent to which your book's detective plot is authentic and based on your personal experience. I'm wondering about the same thing. Does what we read in your books reflect reality?
I would say some reflects reality. I have never dealt with a serial killer. They're very few and far between, thankfully. But I think the books are set where I used to work, so in that respect they're authentic, and I think some of the characters and some of the storylines are also based on crimes that I've dealt with or people that I've dealt with, but not serial killers, no.
Yeah. Are you looking for inspiration in the books of your favorite authors? In the Czech Republic, we perceive Britain as a country of high-quality detective stories.
Yes, I think there's some very famous detectives that have come from British literature. I think for me, I wanted a detective who was a little more like the people that I worked with. I think quite often they're quite damaged people, but for me I wanted Charlie to be a bit more normal, but maybe with a backstory that sort of helped her in her quest for seeking justice. So I think her backstory of the traumas that she's been through has helped her to push to get justice. So that's what I wanted, someone a little bit more real, but who was believable and a normal person.
Are you in Charlie too?
I think I am. I think Charlie is like a younger, braver version of what I would like to have been when I first started. I think she always seeks justice. She sees things from the victim's point of view, which I think I do. Hunter is very much an inspector that I used to work with, who I very much admired and respected. But yes, Charlie, a little bit of me and a little bit of other WPCs that I worked with.
Let's start with your debut, Mommy's Favorite. For most readers, her brutality, especially that against children, is difficult to bear. It is difficult to read, but it is not even more difficult to write about.
I have been asked this before, and I don't know. I think for me, because I was working in the police for 35 years, I dealt with that sort of stuff on a day-to-day basis. Maybe not the child killing, thankfully, but I would go into work, I would deal with the odd shooting, I would deal with stabbings, I would deal with child abuse and rape. So for me it was almost a day-to-day experience, but I do understand that it is quite difficult for other readers. But I don't think that you can hide that sort of thing, because it goes on, and I think to hide it means that victims of child abuse or sex abuse don't get the justice, or don't feel they have the justice that they should get.
Okay, the pattern, 2 children. One is mommy's pet, the other is sad. This is a topical subject throughout human history, I think. How did it come to you, and why did you want to process it in your debut?
I think because I'm the youngest of 9 and we always had discussions between my brothers and sisters as to who was Mummy's favourite, or was there a Mummy's favourite. And I actually don't think that there was in my family, but it was a question, I suppose, that has intrigued me through my life. And I have 3 daughters now, and they sometimes ask the same. So I think that idea came from my childhood, but quite why I have to kill them, I don't know.
You also dedicate a lot of space to the point of view of the killer. That is also a case in the book The Trophy Taker. I consider this storyline important in your books for me. What is it like to investigate the perpetrator's minds?
I find it fascinating, actually, and I think that most killers or criminals have quite a background to them. So, you know, I like to concentrate a lot on the victims in a storyline, but I also like to see what makes a criminal the person that he's turned out or she's turned out to be. So I do think that a lot of their background goes to the person that they become.
Yeah. The Trophy Taker was even more successful in the Czech Republic than Mummy's favorite. I think it's wonderful. It's hard not to drop in quality in the series and overcome the success of previous book, I think. How do you perceive it?
The Trophy Taker,
Yeah.
I loved the story, the Trophy Taker, because it was based on, or one of the storylines was based on a crime that I dealt with. It is so difficult to try and keep up the quality and the stories, but I mean, I think in the later books, in book 4 that hasn't come out here yet, it's my first story, but my writing has developed in such a way that I can hopefully make the writing better. But I'm so pleased that the Czech Republic liked the Trophy Taker, because it was
A lot.
yeah, it was. Yeah.
How do you perceive the power of the detective genre today? Do you think it can offer a mirror to the contemporary society world?
Suzanne, I think it does quite often. I think some of the storylines are quite political and can reflect some of society, how it's changing. I think the crime genre is still very important, but I know psychological thrillers are very popular in England.
Czech Republic too.
Yes, yeah.
I'm also asking that because I'm interested whether you chose writing detective stories not only because you have experience with the police.
Yes, I think I chose it because I had that experience, and it just sort of I got the idea because my sister wrote a book first.
Okay.
She wrote beautiful sort of historical drama, but it gave me the idea.
Different genre.
Yeah, very different. But it set that. I just thought I'd love to write a book, so I did, and I think maybe because of my police background, the storyline just came fluently to start off with. But at some point, I will try another.
Could you give us an idea of what the current British book scene looks like and what kind of books dominate it?
I think probably, as I say, crime is very good. It's still very high on the agenda, but I think probably psychological thrillers are probably the number one sellers at the moment.
And which place does Sarah Flink take up in it?
Which place? Oh, quite low at the moment.
Really?
It's
I don't think so.
it's a great thing to do. I loved writing, and I still love writing, and to me it's a hobby, and it's a hard, it's very competitive. So at the moment I'm taking a few steps, but I've got a few more steps to go. But I'm very pleased that they're coming out in paperback now in English as well as on ebooks. So I'm getting there slowly.
I read somewhere that you are planning to climb the Kilimanjaro. Has it already happened?
It has happened, yes.
Yeah?
Yes, I climbed it in January last year.
Yeah.
No, actually February last year, and it was fantastic. And we got to the top. We climbed through the night on summit night. and stopped sort of a few hundred yards down from the summit and watched the sunrise above the. We were above the clouds, and we just looked out, and there was the clouds and a beautiful mauve and pink sunset. And then we went onto the top.
So we can find it in your stories
Ah.
in future.
I'll have to send Charlie there, won't I?
Yeah. What other goals does Sarah Flint have?
I love to keep writing. At the moment, I've just been writing a standalone, which has a little bit more of a psychological edge to it. Obviously, I want Charlie to continue. But as far as my personal life, I love travelling. I love, the Czech Republic has been beautiful, and Prague is beautiful. And I would love to travel more in Europe and more around the world, but continue writing in between.
Thank you so much for interview. We are very looking forward to release of your new book, Liar, Liar. And would you reveal some fun fact from the book to us to satisfy our eagerness? Little bit.
Oh, it's a difficult. Liar, Liar came from. I shouldn't really say this, but I fell out with one of my bosses, and rather than do anything too bad, I killed them off in this book. So one of the people that is killed off is not my boss, but the story is based around that storyline. So it's a little bit of fun, but my way of getting a bit of revenge, I think.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to read it.